Hello, everyone, and welcome to Azam Shah Weekly. A couple of weeks ago, I posted an article on my website, azamsharp.com, and the article was explaining the how you can use active record pattern for building SwiftUI apps, especially the ones with the core data integration. And the reason that I chose this particular pattern for core data is that the core data is very similar to an object relational mapper. I mean, it's not, but it's similar. I mean, you are having an object, you have some sort of a manage object context, and you persist the data, and one of the stores can be a SQLite database. So I tried to use this, and it felt very natural, very, very good, at least for me. And the reason is that because of my background with working with SQLize and link to SQL, entity framework, Hibernate, and active records, and all that stuff. So in this particular video, I'm going to go through that how we can create a very simple, very, very simple app with the CRUD operation, create, read, update, and delete, using the active record pattern. And if you like the feel of it, you can try it out in your hobby project and see how it works out. The active record pattern basically allows you to create a class that is going to be mapped to the actual database table, and all the rows or all the properties of the class will be mapped to the columns. So anytime you are going to be saving this person, it's going to go into the database. Maybe the database table is known as persons or people, and it will add a brand new row. If you want to learn more about active record pattern, you can definitely check out Ruby on Rails. They have a really good guide on active record pattern because they use that when they're accessing a database. This is one of the patterns that you use. And you can see that it's nice and simple to understand also. Users.all is going to give you all the users. And if you want to save a particular user, you simply create a user or whatever entity that you're creating, and then you call the save function to save it. Nice and simple to use. All right. So let's see that how we can use the same approach when we're building with SwiftUI and core data. So I have this application, it's called Movie app, and you can see that it's a completely brand new application, nothing really going on. So the first thing I need to do in this app is to add some sort of a core data model. So I'm just going to go and add a core data model. Keep in mind that this is a very simple app. I'm just going to add one property to the movie entity, and that's it, just to give you a taste of it. So what should we call this? Let's call it movie model. You can call it anything you want. And as I mentioned that I'm just going to add one single entity to it. So I'm just going to go use the add entity button and going to add movie. Okay. Now this particular movie can have a lot of different attributes, but I'm just simply going to add one attribute to it, and that will be the title, meaning the name of the movie. It will be string, and you have to provide the actual title. So I'm just going to make sure that optional is not ticked on or not checked. Okay, and that's it. Next up, we will create a core data provider, and the core data provider will be responsible for initializing our core data stack. If you have ever watched my videos before, I have always used the core data provider or core data manager. So the code will be exactly the same. So I'm actually going to simply copy paste the code because it's the same old code that we have already seen thousands of times. There we go. Okay. The only new thing I've added is a view context property so that we can easily access the view context. The next thing we need to do is we need to inject this view context into our app file. So I'm going to go over here and I'm simply going to say environment, not the environment object. And one of the keys that you can use is the manage object context. And now I can simply use core data provider dot shared dot view context. And that's it. If you don't inject into the environment, then inside your views, and if you're using the fetch request property wrapper, that fetch request property wrapper is not going to work because it looks for the manage object context correctly set. So if you don't inject this, your fetch request property wrapper is not going to work. And it is highly recommended that when you're working with SwiftUI application, you use fetch request property wrapper because it is highly optimized to work with SwiftUI So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to bring in NSFetch results controller and all those kind of things. Try to use the things that are provided to you by SwiftUI. Don't fight the framework. Let's go to the content view now. Okay, content view, nothing really going on over here. Now, if we are trying to get all the movies, and we don't have any movies right now, we can go ahead and create our movie entity, which is already created. Like if I go ahead and type in over here, probably movie, well, maybe somewhere else, we should be hopefully be able to see the movie. Let's see. There we go. You can see that the movie entity is already there because it is already generated through our movie model. But we want our movie entity to have some default functions like save, delete, and things like that, and all, right? Just like if we go to the active record for Ruby, you can see the user has this function user.all, user.first, user.findBy. Now these functions are not only for user, by the way. If you are using, active record in Ruby on Rails, then if you have a different entity, account, the account will also have account.all, account.first, account.findBy, account.where, account.save. All of those things, or not account.save, sorry, the save will be on the instance of the account, not on the class account. So we need to create some sort of a base class or some sort of a way so that all of our entities that we are going to be adding to our application, although we're not, but if we were supposed to be adding more entities like for review and everything, then they can get those default behaviors. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new group. I'll call it models. And inside our models, I'm just going to go ahead and add a single file. You can call it anything you want. I'm just going to call it model. And the purpose of this model file is to provide some sort of a default implementations to all the other entities. So the first thing I'm going to do is import core data. And I'm going to go ahead and create a protocol for the model. Now in the protocol, you can have those functions like save and delete or whatever you want. But since most of the time, these functions like save and delete and all will be exactly the same and nobody cares to overwrite it, I will leave it blank for now. All right, now, if I'm creating this app and maybe I want to get all the reviews, but I want to do something special with the reviews, then I will write a function, a protocol function over here, meaning that you can override it. But right now, I'm just going to leave it alone. Next, I'm going to go ahead and write an extension model where self, the only people who can use this particular model, they have to be manage object. So basically the core data objects that we have. And now it's up to you, whatever type of function that you want to define. So I'm just going to go ahead and say save function. And what is the save function going to do? It's going to simply say shared.viewContext.save, and that's it. You can even write some, some sort of a functions or some sort of a property inside your model so that you don't have to type all of this stuff again and again, but for now, it's fine. What about the delete thing? Well, let's go ahead and type delete. It can throws. And we can say core data provider.share.viewContext.delete, whatever the object that is conforming to this protocol, and then you save it. All right, so delete is done, and the next function that we want to write will be a static function, all or a static property, and it's going to send you a request on self. So self over here is the person who is conforming to this protocol. So sometime it will be movie, sometime it will be review. We don't have any reviews, but you get the idea. So it will be some sort of a NSManage object. Now over here, we can go ahead and create a fetch request and return it. There we go. So everyone can now use these things. If I want to say, give me all the movies, I'll say movie.all. If I want to save a movie, then I should have an instance of that movie and I can call save or delete. Okay, so I can do all of those things. Going back to my content view, in the content view, now if I want to display the movies, and we currently don't really have any movies, I can simply go ahead and say movies or movies result or movie results, whatever you want to call it. which will be fetch results and of type movie. And now we can use the property wrapper, which is fetch results, fetch request, and we can pass in the fetch request. And the great thing about this is that now we can use movie.all. You can see that movie.all is not really present over here because the movie class, which is automatically generated over here, does not really conform to the model. So what we can do is we can go ahead and create a separate file, and we can call it movie plus extensions. And in this file, we can simply extend the movie so that it does conform to that. So movie model, that's it, done. Okay, now let's go back to the content view. Hopefully it's going to know that now the movie is conforming to the model, so that should be okay. And for our movie results, we can simply go ahead and loop through them. So I'm going to go ahead and say list. I mean, we can go ahead and add a navigation. I don't think we need a navigation stack right now, but I'll simply go ahead and say movie results. And if I want to display a movie, I'll say movie in, and then display a particular movie. Now, currently we don't really have any movies, so it's not really going to display anything anyways. You can see that nothing is being displayed. And if I want to add like a navigation view, I can do that. Let's go ahead and see, maybe we can use a navigation stack because we do want the user to go to some other screen. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and do something over here also. I'm going to go ahead and say navigation title, movies, and we will allow the user to add a particular movie. So that will be in the sheet. Okay. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and add a toolbar. There we go. And when we have the toolbar, I want to show the toolbar by is presented, which is a local state. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a local state. You can add anywhere you want. There we go. And now we can go ahead and show some sort of a sheet control, which is displaying add movie view. Now, there is no such thing as add movie view. So that is something that we will have to create. We have to create add movie view. Okay, so let's go ahead and create add movie view. Select the SwiftUI view, add movie view. Great. Okay, so when we're creating the add movie view, we need to be able to allow the user to enter the name of the movie. For that case, I can use a form. All right, and I can go ahead and add a text field. We can say title, text. That's going to go into, let's say, the title of the movie. And now I can go ahead and add a string over a state variable over here to hold that title. There we go. Okay. But here's the thing. The add movie view that we just added, we want to use it for adding a movie and also updating the movie. So if we go back to the content view right now, and if we had some movies, let's say that we are displaying some movies over here and we're displaying a movie over here. If I add a movie, then obviously we'll add a brand new movie. That's fine, that's great. But if I select this one, it will take me to a different screen, which will also be the add movie screen, but this time I can update the movie. Okay, so we have to think about that how are we going to accomplish this part? How can we add a movie and then the same view, add movie view, can be used to update the movie? Now, if we want, we can go ahead and change the name of this. If you want to, we can refactor the name. We can call it add and update movie view. Okay. Let's go ahead and change the name over here too. There we go. So we'll call it add update movie view. So it should be able to do both. Okay. So right now we have the text field. I think that's fine. And after that, we will probably have a button. So right now we're only focusing on adding a movie, but back of our mind, we know that we have to use the same view for updating the movies also. So when we save this, now the question is, well, how are we going to save this? If we want to save this, we need to get access to the Manage Object context. And inside the Save button, now we can construct a new movie. So movie equals to movie, and not like that, but movie with the view context, and we can simply pass in the view context, the manage context. We can say movie.title equals to the title, and then we can say movie.save. Remember, the save function is coming from the base model or the base protocol that is providing all of these things. But the save function can actually throw an error. So it would be a good idea to probably separate it out. So let's go ahead and separate this out. Save movie. And we can just call the save movie, copy all of this stuff, call it right there. And either you can wrap the whole thing, or we can only wrap the part that is actually going to cause an exception. There we go. And then handle the error. Now we can call the save movie over here. Now, when the movie is actually saved, we do want to dismiss this sheet. So in order to dismiss it, we're going to go ahead and add the environment for dismiss. And once everything is done, once it is actually saved, either you can add a dismiss over here, or you can do a dismiss inside the same movie. It's up to you. Both of them should work correctly. Okay. All right, let's go back to the content view. And over here now we can try to see that if we are able to add a movie or not. But back of our mind, we're also thinking that how are we going to use the same view to update the movie also. Now you can see that content view is not really loading, and that's because I forgot to add the manage object over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say environment for the key path manage context and pass in the core data provider .share.view context. Okay, great. Now I can go ahead and click on add movie. Let's go ahead and write the name of the movie. We'll call it Superman, and I'll save it. And there we go. Superman got added. I can go ahead and add another movie, and I can say save. It's saved correctly. Okay, so that part is done. That is great. But now I want to click or tap on this movie or this movie, and it will take me to a different screen where I can update the movie. Now, in our case, that different screen will be add movie view. Okay, but I want to show you that how you can go to the same screen to update. Okay, maybe this flow is not the one that you have, that's fine, but at least you will learn that how you can use the same exact view to update the movie. So that's the important part. All right. So how do we perform the navigation? That's the first question. Well, we already added the navigation stack over here. I believe in the list, instead of using this, we can go ahead and say navigation link with a particular title. So we'll use movie.title, and the value, we'll use the movie. And now, not inside the loop, but somewhere outside the loop, we can perform the navigation destination. I'm using iOS 16. So there we go, navigation destination for a movie type. So I'll just simply say movie. And for destination, we'll get the movie. And now we can call add movie view, because this is where we are updating the movie, and pass in the movie. Actually, it's not called add movie view. It's called add update movie view, because now we're updating. So this is basically where we are navigating to the detail view, which allows us to update the movie. Now, obviously, in this case, the detail view is the add update movie view, but the whole point is that we're going to the same view, and your flow might be very different, but the main reason that we're going there is that we want to update the movie. But if you look at the add update movie view, that particular view has no interest, meaning you can't really pass a movie to it. So let's go ahead and add over here that we can, if we want to, pass a movie. Okay, so the same exact view will be used to add a movie, and the same view will be used to update the movie. So this is something that we'll have to think about, that how are we going to tackle this. Now let's see what's going on over here. I'm not sure why this is not building. Let's go ahead and see. Something probably I'm doing wrong, but let's go ahead and build the app first. Okay, there we go. And add update movie view, well, we need to use the label movie. So this is the difference now, right? If we are using the navigation, if you actually tap on Superman, it takes you to the same view, and that is for the updating part. But if I tap on the add movie, it takes me to the same view, but for adding. So that's the difference part. When we tap on any of these things, Superman or Batman, the name Superman or Batman should be printed over here because now we are updating the movie. But how do we do that? Well, we're already passing the movie. Let's go to the add update view. In the add update view, what we can do is we can create a small structure to hold the values that you're going to type in the text box. I will call that add movie config. You can call it add update movie config or whatever. But this is like for update movie config is also fine, I think, or add movie config. I mean, this is like, movie config is also fine. I mean, this is kind of up to you, whatever you want to name it. Okay. And what we're trying to do over here for the movie config, I would actually go ahead and say edit movie config. Right? I mean, you can call this anything you want again. So we have this edit movie config. In order for this to work, you have to pass in the movie, and it's going to automatically populate itself with the data from the movie. And where should we call that? Well, we can actually call that on appear. So that's one of the things that we can do. We can go ahead and say, if the movie is empty, if the movie is not empty, meaning this is the updating part that you want to do, then we can say, well, we don't have access to the variable right now, so let's go ahead and create that. Probably somewhere over here. State private var edit movie config, and we will say edit movie config. There we go. We'll just initialize it. And on appear, we can probably initialize it again by saying edit movie config equals to edit movie config, passing in the movie. And that movie that we are passing in, all of the properties of the movie will be assigned to the edit movie config. And from now on, we should just use edit movie config everywhere. So this title over here, we don't really need it. So let's go ahead and delete that part. So anytime we're going to do anything in our UI, that will be part of the edit movie config. So I can say edit movie config.title. So that is the thing that is getting populated now. For saving the movie and all that stuff, we will currently not do anything. We will just kind of like leave it blank because we need to change that. And it should probably not be called save movie. It should be called save or update. Save or update movie. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay. Let's go back to the content view just to see if we tap on a particular movie, does those details of the movie gets populated in our view. Okay, there we go. It actually got populated. Superman got populated. Batman got populated. That's fine. If I say add movie, well, now it's not populated because now we're adding a new movie. Let me go ahead and pin this so that we can access it in a different view. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what else we can do with this? Well, anytime you're going to write something, the edit movie config.title is going to get populated, no matter if you are trying to add the movie or you're trying to update the movie. Next, you call the save function, and you say save or update movie. Okay, so inside the save or update movie, we're not really doing anything. Now, in this case, we have to decide that are we trying to save a movie or are we trying to update the movie? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, give me the not nil thing. If the movie is nil, meaning if you didn't really pass in anything, if it's nil, then go ahead and create a new movie and using the view context. And now we can go ahead and just set the properties, title equals to add movie config, which is edit movie config.title. And guess what? Finally, you can call the save function. So we can go ahead and call the save function over here, try movie.save. And you're done. Now, this function currently is saying that it can't really handle the exceptions. So you can actually wrap this around and you can handle the exception. Error dot something. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we do that. So I'm going to go to the content view. And in the content view, I'm just going to go ahead and click or tap on Superman. And I will say Superman edit. So basically I'm editing it and I'll save it. And now you can see Superman is edited. If I go to Batman, I'm just going to change it to Batman 3. And now you can see it's smart enough to know that you're trying to edit the movie instead of adding the movie. But now let's go to the adding the movie. And we will just go ahead and add Spider-Man. And now Spider-Man is added. You can see right there. And now I can go to Spider-Man and I can simply say Spider. And now Spider is there. So it looks like everything is working great. All right, so we made a single view, add update movie view, and we use the same view to either add the movie or update the movie. Let's go to the content view, because another thing we want to do is to be able to delete the movie. Right now, we don't have the capability of deleting the movie. In order to delete the movie, it would be nice if we can just swipe right to left, click on the delete button and done. So for that, I'm just going to go ahead and change this list to for each and then wrap everything around in the list. And this is going to give me a little bit more flexibility because now I can implement the dot on the delete on the for each. And I'm going to go ahead and call the function delete movie, which doesn't exist, by the way. So let's go ahead and call delete movie. It will be index set. Now we're only allowing the one person to just select one movie. So we can just get the actual first index, not all of them. So I can simply use this technique to get the first index. And then I will get the actual, movie that I want to delete. So movie results of index. And then finally you can call movie.delete. So you can see that how useful our functions that we just created in the base model, save, delete, all, they're coming in really handy. Of course, we have to use try over here, and this means that we have to wrap everything with try catch, and I can go ahead and print out the error, whatever the error is. So now we can go ahead and check that if our delete functionality is also working or not. So I can go ahead and try to delete Batman and Spider-Man, and there we go, they're deleted. I can go to Superman, and I can say edit, Superman 6, and there we go. All right. So this is the active record pattern in SwiftUI. For me at least, it felt more natural when I'm programming. And the main reason it felt natural to me is that because I have worked with a lot of different ORMs, not saying that the core data is an ORM, but I'm just saying that I have worked with a lot of different ORMs, including Link to SQL, Entity Framework, Lightspeed, Hibernate, and not sure which one I'm missing right now. SQLi is also in JavaScript. All right, so a lot of different things that I have worked on, and that's why it's a little bit easier for me. So definitely check out this article. This article actually goes through the same exact things. All right, so definitely check this one out. Also, if you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to check out my Udemy courses. you can definitely check out my brand new course, which is the Building a Reminders app clone with SwiftUI and core data. So this is a really good course. It's going to teach you about how to correctly build applications using SwiftUI and core data. But I have a lot of other courses also, as you can see. All right. Apart from that, there's a conference in New York on April 18 and April 19. I think April 17 is their workshop, 2023. I will be speaking over there. If you are interested, you can definitely attend this. A lot of great speakers you can see over here. So definitely check it out. All right. So hope to see you in New York. If you're there, stop by, say hello. That will be great. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. And I really hope that you have enjoyed this video.